All right, so here's your study guide for quiz 10, and we're going to write this expression in factored form. So when you see a negative sign in front of the leading coefficient, factor out a -1 first. So we're just going to take out a -1, and then what would be left inside the parentheses would be x squared plus 6x minus 16. And now we're looking for two factors of 16 that add up to +6. So if you don't have your own technique already for finding these factors, then this little crisscross system works. And we're going to find a factor, multiply it by the other factor, and we're going to get -16. And then we're going to take that same factor, we're going to add it to another factor, and we're going to get a +6. Okay? So we take this value and we put it here, and we take this value and we put it here. So now we look at the factors of 16, which are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. The only two factors that combine for a 6 would be the 2 and the 8. We need it to be a +6, so we need a +8 and a -2. So +8 times -2 is -16. +8 plus -2 is +6. So our factors are x plus 8 times x minus 2. And don't forget to put the negative sign out in front that we got from right there. All right, so problem number 2, we got x squared minus 16x plus 60. So we're going to draw this x here. So we need a factor times a factor, and it's got to equal +60. And then a factor plus a factor that's got to equal -16. So I list the factors of 60, which are 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and 6 and 10. So out of those factors, the only two that can combine to a 16 are the 6 and the 10. So if we take -6 times -10, we get a +60. And -6 plus -10 is a -16. So our factors are x minus 6 and x minus 10. And when I'm talking about show your work on the quiz, this is what I'm talking about you showing. Yes, ma'am.
How do you know if it's positive or negative?
What?
Your 6 and 10.
All right, they have to add up. The 6 and the 10 have to add up to -16. So they both have to be negative to get to -16. They have to multiply to 60. So the only way to get a negative times something to equal a positive is it's got to be times another negative. All right, problem number 3. X squared plus 15x plus 56. Two factors got to multiply to positive 56, and they got to add to positive 15. Factors of 56 are 1 and 56, 2 and 28, 4 and 14, and 7 and 8. So again, the only combination that will add up to a 15 is a 7 and an 8. And that would be a positive 7 plus positive 8 equals 15, and 7 times 8 equals 56. So your factors are x plus 7 times x plus 8. Problem number 4. 25x squared minus 40x plus 16. Now, this is called a perfect square trinomial, and it's something that you have to notice, meaning 25 is a perfect square and 16 is a perfect square. So when the first term is a perfect square and the last term is a perfect square, it's called a special case. It's a special trinomial. It's a perfect square trinomial. And the factors are the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of x squared is x. All right, this middle term is going to take care of itself because the square root of 16 is 4. Now look, we need a negative 40 in the middle. So this has to be negative in here. And we just close it off and we square it. Okay? First term's a perfect square, so its square root is your first factor. The last term is a perfect square, so its square root is your other factor. And if the middle term is negative, then this is negative. If this was 25x squared plus 40x plus 16, then what you would have was 5x plus 4 squared. All right, perfect square trinomial. And then problem number 5, we've got 15x squared plus 9x. All right, in this case, we don't have a trinomial. It's just a binomial. So all you're doing here is you're pulling out the greatest common factor. You're finding the largest factor that goes into 15 and 9 evenly, and that's 3. The largest factor that goes into x squared and x evenly is x. And then we take 3x and we divide it into 15x squared, and we get 5x. Take 3x divided into 9x, and we get 3. And that is in factored form. All right, problem number 6. 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. All right, now technique's going to change here. So star this, asterisk it, whatever you need to do to bring it to your attention. But our a is no longer equal to 1. Our a is greater than 1 now. So your technique is going to change. We're still going to use this crisscross, but the way we use it's going to change. So the first thing that we're going to do in the top of this crisscross is we're going to multiply 3 times negative 8. And that's negative 24. And then we're going to take this value, this positive 10, and we're going to put it right here. Now, we're looking for factors that are going to multiply to negative 24, and they're going to add to positive 10, but they're factors of 24. All right, so factors of 24. And the factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And those are all the factors of 24. We're looking for a pair that can add to 10. And it's the 4 and the 6. It's not the 4 and the 6. It's got to be the 2 and the 12, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because you've got a negative 24. So you're going to need at least one negative. So it's going to be the 12 and the 2. So we're going to do a positive 12 times negative 2 gives you negative 24. And positive 12 plus negative 2 gives you positive 10. Okay? Yes.
3 and 24.
3, A times C. So now, you put 4 dashed lines here. You take this 3x squared, you put it right here. Take the negative 8, and you go negative 8. Now, since our variable is x, we go, see this positive 12 right here? We go plus 12x. And this negative 2 goes negative 2x. And now we group the 3x squared and the positive 12x. And we group the 2x and the minus 8. And my pen is stuck, so I can't write anything. All right, we're going to group the 3x squared and the 12x. And we're going to group the 2x and the negative 8. We're going to factor the first group. So we're going to factor out a 3x. And we're left with x plus 4. We keep the minus sign. We're going to factor this second group. The greatest common factor of 2x and 8 is 2. And now inside here, when we factor this second group, it should be the same as the first group. So it is. We've got an x plus 4. So now your factors of the original trinomial are the 3x minus 2 times the x plus 4. All right, problem number 7. 2x squared minus 3x minus 54 A times C goes up top. So 2 times negative 54 is negative 108. The B goes in the bottom. So negative 3. We're multiplying to negative 108. We're adding to 3. So we're going to list the factors of 54. I'm sorry, we're going to list the factors of 108. And that's 1 and 108, 2 and 54, 3 and 36, 4 and 27, 6 and 18, 9 and 12. The 9 and 12 is the only pair that can combine to a 3. So we need a negative 12 plus a positive 9 equals negative 3, and negative 12 times 9 is negative 108. So then we fill in the blanks again. The 2x squared minus the 12x plus the 9x and then minus the 54. Group up the first two and the second two. Factor what's in the parentheses. The greatest common factor of 2x squared and 12x is 2x. And then we got x minus 6. Greatest common factor of 9x and negative 54, or 9x and 54, is 9. And that would be x minus 6 again. So in factored form, we got the 2x plus 9 times x minus 6. Number 8. 8g squared plus 6g minus 9 our a times c goes in the top. Our b goes in the bottom. We list the factors of the negative or of 72. So 1 and 72, 2 and 36, 3 and 24, 4 and 18, 6 and 12, 8 and 9. The pair that will add to 6 and multiply to 72, that's going to be the 6 and the 12. So positive 12 times negative 6 is negative 72, and positive 12 plus negative 6 would be positive 6. So let's fill in these blanks. The 8g squared goes first. The minus 9 goes last. We go plus 12g and minus 6g. Group them. And then factor each group. So the GCF of 8g squared and 12g would be 4g. And that would be times 2g plus 3. Greatest common factor of a 6g and a 9 is 3. And we take that times 2g plus 3. So in factored form, we have 4g minus 3 times 2g plus 3. All right, I got 2 more to show you. Problem number 9, we got 16x squared plus minus 32x. Well, I'm going to do plus 32x first, plus 16. All right, and again, the first term, 16, is a perfect square, and the last term is a perfect square. So like I said earlier, the square root of the first term goes right here. And since everything is positive, then our factors are going to be positive. Square root of 16 goes here, and it's squared. That's a perfect square trinomial. If it was 16x squared minus 32x plus 16, then we get 4x minus 4 squared. All right, finally, number 10, 12x squared plus 25x plus 12. We take a times c, and it goes in the top. Our b value goes in the bottom. We list the factors of 144. So 1 and 144, 2 and 72, 3 and 48, 4 and 36, 6 and 24, 8 and 18, 9 and 16. Everything is positive, so the factors are both going to be positive. The only pair that adds to 25 is the 9 and the 16. So it's plus 9 plus 16. All right, our 12x squared goes first. Our plus 9x goes second. Plus 16x and plus 12. We group and factor. So the GCF of 12x squared and 9x is 3x. 3x goes into 12x squared 4x times. 3x goes into 9x 3 times. Greatest common factor of 16 and 12 is a 4. 4 goes into 16x 4x times, and 4 goes into 12 3 times. So again, it's your 3x plus 4 times 4x plus 3. And that completes your study guide for quiz 10.